So after the Kennard technical, Bronny pull up from 17. That's an air ball.
Got a little bit of everything done in those minutes.
Bronny had some trouble with turning the ball over at OKC last week, but again, the other night, he scored 18-point disadvantage. Now for the Lake Shell. Bronny, Ando passes it up into the corner. Bronny, that's going to be great balance.
Yeah.
But again, it's this side of the ball that will win them a championship if they're going to do it again. Ames forced. Bronny is wide open on its way. Impressive, most impressive. Now Bronny's going to try to knock one.
The Oklahoma City Thunder did not just beat the Lakers last night. They straight up singled someone out and made an example out of him. Minus 25, 2 of 9 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. 23 minutes of raw, unfiltered embarrassment on national TV. And the wildest part is not even the numbers. It is who kept him out there. Be real for a second. Drop a comment. Has Bronny James actually shown you anything that proves he belongs in an NBA rotation right now? Say what you want, but there is no soft way to explain what just went down. Bronny James logged 23 minutes against OKC. In that time, he scored 4 points. Just 4. Shot 2 of 9. Missed all 5 of his threes and ended with a minus 25. Meaning every second he was on the floor, the Lakers were getting cooked by 25 combined points. That is not just a bad game. That is next level ugly. It looked like he got thrown into a situation he was not ready for at all, going up against one of the toughest teams in the West, and it played out exactly how you would expect. But let's not twist it. Yeah, the stats are rough, and yeah, the performance was rough. But Bronny is not even the main story here. The real story is everything happening around him that made this whole situation possible in the first place. That is where things get messy.
Been getting, not having to travel with the G League team, only playing home games. You're getting preferential treatment. You couple that with the fact that a lot of people feel like the only reason he's on the team is because of his father. And then when you add on top of the fact that when he plays, he doesn't play well. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good.
Now let's really set the scene so nobody tries to spin this later like it was fair. The Lakers were missing their top 4 main ball handlers. Gone. Completely out. So JJ Redick somehow decided the move was to start Drew Timme at point guard. Yeah, Drew Timme, running point for a team trying to compete in the Western Conference playoffs. When you are that shorthanded against a dangerous squad like OKC, the obvious move is simple. Play your best available guys, stay competitive, make it tough. Give yourself at least a fighting chance. That is basic basketball logic. Instead, Bronny James got 23 minutes in a game where every possession mattered. Every player needed to contribute. And what did they get? 4 points and a minus 25. Someone even said Air Bud. Yeah, Air Bud. And honestly, that comparison is not even that crazy right now. A fictional dog from a movie getting brought into real NBA conversations, that is where things are sitting in 2026. That is how wild this whole situation looks. Now here is where it gets straight up disrespectful on another level. Jared Vanderbilt, a proven NBA player with real experience and actual value, got pulled from the game. Meanwhile, Bronny James, sitting at 2 of 9 and heading towards 0 for 5 from deep, stayed on the floor. Vanderbilt reacted too, and honestly, he should have, because in no version of reality, no universe, no alternate timeline where basketball even slightly makes sense, should Bronny James be getting more meaningful minutes than Jared Vanderbilt. That is not hate, that is just facts. But here is where things flip in a weird way. Vanderbilt becomes the headline, he reacts, so now suddenly he is the problem. Now he has an attitude, now he is the bad teammate, now he is disrupting the locker room. All because it is easier to push that narrative than ask the real question. Why was Bronny even out there that long in the first place?
Just a confluence of things. Again, it's nothing personal with him, but normal stuff from my end. I think for all of us, being undermanned and we've got to scrap and claw. We've got to all be on the same page. We got to be great teammates. We got to all play hard. Call the timeout to get him out of the game, and he reacted. But again, normal interaction for me.
JJ Redick talked after the game, said he needs guys who are all in, guys who fight, guys who scrap, normal coach talk. He mentioned a confluence of things and all that. Cool. But you know what he did not explain? Why Bronny was on the floor for 23 minutes putting up a -25. Nobody is pressing that question loud enough. Instead, Vanderbilt reacting is the big story. And Bronny's performance gets brushed to the side like it is nothing. That right there is completely backwards.
Reaction from people. And we want to put up a few posts here. We may put up stills. I'm not sure if we'll play the video, but we'll see. So one guy puts up a video, Bronny from the logo. And this video was posted today and it got 2.2 million views, right? And you see Bronny taking a logo shot and then he airballs the ball, right? Let me read through the comments. And one guy starts laughing. Another guy says the slow-mo makes it look 10 times better than it really was. Another guy says movement looked cool, just way off results. It just keeps going on. Another guy said one-on-one, 1v1, can you beat Bronny? And it kept on going on. Another guy put up an emoji, Joe Tantrums. He's putting up the laughing emoji. The other one is a Carlton Banks emoji. Another guy says he doesn't have dog in him. Another guy says me watching like this. Another guy said, bro, you got to stop filling this little jigger head up. And that's just one post, right? That's the first post.
Let's get into the actual moments, because the box score does not even come close to showing how rough this looked in real time. There was a play where Bronny had a completely wide open look at the basket. No defender, no pressure, no tough angle. Just a clean, easy shot. The kind of shot even someone having a bad night is supposed to hit. He missed it. Badly. Completely blew the layup.
Some of them would say, well, you're only doing this because he's LeBron's son. Yeah, duh. Yeah, duh. He's guilty by proxy. There's some people that are not fans of LeBron, but that's with anybody. It's not just a LeBron thing. If another player of Michael Jordan's kids were playing in the NBA or had played in the NBA and they didn't have good highlights, of course LeBron fans would be making fun of Michael Jordan's kids. Who are we kidding here? Why are we acting like as if that wouldn't be the case?
And then it got worse. Right after missing, Bronny threw his hands up, not to hustle back on defense, just a reaction. Meanwhile, OKC is already sprinting the other way, while the Lakers are left scrambling to recover. That sequence alone had people stunned. Then there were the screens. And this part really had people confused. Bronny was out there setting screens on his own teammates, not the defense, his own guys. At that point, OKC did not even need to do much. It looked like he was accidentally helping them on defense from the inside. That is how off everything felt.
Rob and I did not give Bronny anything. Bronny has earned this.
All of a sudden come out of nowhere and make something happen in preseason. I would imagine seen that over the course. If you don't have the ability to finish off your shot properly, it absolutely affects your ability to finish. Connect. Bronny James.
Last team standing against them. These two teams in front of us are on that short list.
In college ball, is Bronny James.
He's got a great soul.
Finally figured out the Kuminga thing, didn't they?
Yeah.
And the logo threes, that was a whole different situation. JJ Redick called out Rui Hachimura for missing an assignment, which led to a quick timeout. Rui messes up once. Boom. He is held accountable immediately, but Bronny pulling up from way beyond the arc. Shots that barely make sense in that moment. That is allowed. That is just Bronny being Bronny. The lack of consistency in these decisions is wild, and not in a good way. Now let's put this into real perspective, because the comparisons say everything. Drew Timme, yes, the same Drew Timme playing point guard in an emergency, scored more points than Bronny. Let that sink in. Abdullah scored more. Nick Smith scored more. Kobe Buffkin scored more. These are guys coming up from the G League, from development squads, from the deepest parts of the roster, and they all outperformed him in this game. That is not a small detail. That is a major red flag. Then you hear something even crazier being said. Chris Mannix, a basketball journalist, not an active player, was being mentioned in conversations like, give him 9 minutes and he might match 4 points. That is how low the production was. That is what 23 minutes turned into against OKC. The G League call-ups gave more. The emergency point guard gave more. At some point, this stops looking like just a bad night and starts looking like a pattern. And that pattern is getting harder and harder to ignore. Now here's where things get even more serious, because this part is not getting talked about enough. LeBron James did not play in this game. He was out, and there is a growing theory, one that people are starting to whisper more and more, that he avoided this matchup knowing how tough OKC is. Instead of being out there to help guide his son through a night like this, he was not on the floor. Think about it. The whole story around this season has been father and son playing together, a legacy moment. Something special the league has been pushing hard, but when things got real, When Bronny was out there struggling against one of the best teams in the West, LeBron was not there. No pressure relief, no leadership on the court, no extra attention from defenders to open things up. Nothing. Just Bronny out there dealing with it alone. Now, some people will say that sounds harsh, but the timing raises questions, and you will not hear major outlets push that angle because protecting the bigger story matters to them. But outside of that bubble, people are calling it how it looks. A young player getting thrown into extremely tough situations without the kind of support everyone expected would be there. And to keep it fair, accountability does not stop with just one person. JJ Redick deserves to be part of this conversation too. Yes, it is his first head coaching job. Yes, he is still learning. That is understood. But learning does not explain rotations like this. It does not explain extended minutes in a game where production is not there. Because this does not look like development. It does not look like slowly building a player up. It looks like something else entirely. And the truth is, everybody watching can see it, even if not everybody is saying it out loud. When the Lakers went on that 15-8 run in the second quarter, that was a real moment. That was the window. A chance to build momentum, shift the energy, and actually make this game competitive. But instead of stacking that momentum with the right lineup, the decisions kept Bronny in situations he clearly was not ready to handle. This was not a blowout the entire time. There were stretches where the Lakers had a real shot to make this interesting. And then it just fell apart. Completely! When you go back and look at the rotations, the minutes, and who was on the floor during those key moments, it becomes almost impossible to separate the result from the decisions that led there. The outcome did not just happen. It was guided that way. JJ Redick has to own that. You cannot talk about needing players who fight, who stay locked in, who give everything, and then hand major minutes to someone who just finished minus 25. Meanwhile, players who have proven they can contribute are sitting there on the bench, watching it unfold and wondering what is going on. That disconnect is hard to ignore. Now zoom out for a second, because this is bigger than just one game. The OKC matchup is just one piece of a much larger issue with this Lakers team. Take away Austin Reeves, take away Luka, take away Marcus Smart. And what are you left with? Be honest, this starts to look like one of the weakest rosters in the Western Conference. Maybe the weakest. When your functional lineup includes an emergency point guard like Drew Timme and a minus 25 performance, that is not a playoff formula. That is a team heading straight toward an early offseason, thinking about Cancun while hoping people do not fully realize how bad things got. There is even talk about positioning for matchups like the Rockets in the first round, but that plan is not safe either. Losing to this version of the Lakers would be a bad look for anybody. Any team that lets this current roster push a series to 6 games is opening themselves up to serious criticism. That is how thin things look right now. And the Western Conference does not play around. OKC made that clear. That was not just a win, that felt like a statement. They targeted weaknesses, ran actions directly at them, and exposed everything step by step. By the end, the box score did not just show numbers, it sent a message. Now here's the real conversation that needs to happen. Bronny James is heading into year 3. Year 3 is not supposed to be about potential anymore. That is when things are supposed to click. The game should slow down. The role should become clear. Production should start to show. If he cannot break into a real rotation next season, not because of his name, not because of outside factors, but by earning it, then serious questions about his long-term NBA future are going to come up. There has been talk about possible moves, like going to Cleveland, but let's think about that. Cleveland already has structure. They already have players earning their minutes. There is no easy pathway there. The coaching staff would have to justify every second on the floor based on performance, not narrative. And in the city expecting real contention, that pressure is even higher. There was even a joke floating around. Something like Call of Duty. People laughed, but the point underneath it was real. You cannot hold on to an NBA roster spot if the production is not there. That is not personal. That is just how professional sports works. Now, to be fair, Bronny still has time. He is young. Development is not linear, and there is still a path for him to grow into a solid contributor. But that path starts with being real about where things stand today. And right now, it is a player who went minus 25 in 23 minutes, scored 4 points, missed all 5 threes, while teammates from the G League stepped up and outperformed him. That means the work has to show up. The offseason matters. Adjustments have to be made, because year 3 cannot look like year 2. If it does, then the conversation shifts into something much more serious. Something a lot of people are avoiding right now. Minus 25. 0 for 5 from deep. 4 points in 23 minutes. The Thunder did not just win that game, they made sure everyone noticed. And here's the part that really nobody wants to say too loudly, because it gets uncomfortable fast. At some point, this stops being about one bad game and starts being about how the league handles situations like this overall. Because let's be real, if this was any other player, any other name, any other background, would this look the same? Would the minutes still be there? Would the leash still be this long? That is the question sitting in the background of all of this. NBA rotations are supposed to be earned. Minutes are supposed to be taken, not given. And when fans are watching someone struggle this hard while others are getting pulled quickly for smaller mistakes, it creates a gap that people notice immediately. And once people notice it, they do not forget. Now think about the locker room for a second. You have guys grinding every day, fighting for minutes, trying to prove they belong. And then they see this situation play out in real time. Missed assignments get punished for some, but not for others. Short leashes for some, unlimited chances for others. That kind of imbalance does not just disappear. It sits there, it builds, and it can quietly affect the entire chemistry of a team. Because players are always watching, always. And when things do not line up with performance, it creates tension whether people say it publicly or not. Now shift to the coaching side again. JJ Redick is trying to establish credibility as a first-year head coach. That matters. Every decision, every rotation, every substitution is being watched closely. And games like this, they stick. Because it is not just about losing. Teams lose all the time. It is about how you lose and why you lose. And when the why starts pointing directly at rotation choices, that is when the pressure builds. Fans question it. Media questions it. Players definitely question it. And if those questions keep stacking up without clear answers, it becomes a real issue going forward. Now look at the front office angle. The Lakers are not a team that can afford confusion right now. This is a franchise that is supposed to be chasing contention, not trying to explain developmental minutes in critical games. There is a difference between rebuilding teams experimenting and a team with expectations making decisions that do not match winning basketball. And that gap is becoming more visible with every game like this. Then there is the fan reaction, because fans are not just looking at stats, they are watching effort, awareness, decision-making, all the small things. And when those things are not there consistently, the frustration builds fast. Not just frustration, skepticism. People start asking bigger questions about direction, about leadership, about what the actual plan is. Because right now, it does not look clear. And when things do not look clear in a market like Los Angeles, that noise gets loud very quickly. Now bring it back to Bronny for a second, because this part actually matters the most long-term. Development is not just about playing time. It is about being put in positions where you can actually succeed and grow, and throwing someone into high-pressure minutes against elite teams when they are clearly struggling. That does not always help. Sometimes it does the opposite. Confidence takes hits. Decision-making gets rushed. Bad habits can form. That is how situations like this can go from tough to damaging if not handled the right way. So the real question becomes, what is the plan here? Is it development? Is it exposure? Is it something else? Because right now, it feels unclear. And when something feels unclear in professional sports, people start filling in the blanks themselves. That is when narratives take over. That is when things get louder than they need to be. And that is exactly where this situation is heading if it does not get corrected. Because one game like this, people react. Multiple games like this, people start drawing conclusions. And those conclusions are not always easy to shake. So yeah, OKC got the win. But this is bigger than just one result. This is about decisions, accountability, development, and direction, all colliding at the same time. And if those things do not start lining up soon, this is going to keep being a conversation, louder and louder, every single time it happens. And now, everything circles back to one simple question. Where do the Lakers go from here? Because you cannot keep running this same script and expect a different ending. At some point, adjustments have to be made, real ones, not just small tweaks that do not change anything. The rotations have to make sense, the minutes have to reflect performance, and the priorities have to be clear. Are you trying to win games, or are you trying to develop players? Because right now, it looks like those two ideas are clashing hard. And when that clash happens in the middle of a season, especially in the Western Conference, things fall apart fast. This is not a slow conference. This is not forgiving. Teams are stacked. Mistakes get exposed immediately. And if you are not locked in, you get run off the floor just like what happened against OKC. That game was not just a loss. It was a spotlight on decision-making, a spotlight on player roles, and a spotlight on a situation that keeps getting harder to defend the more it plays out. Now looking ahead, year 3 for Bronny is going to be everything. That is the turning point. That is where potential has to start becoming production. No more excuses. No more extended patience just because of circumstances. It becomes about results. Can he step into a role and actually hold it down? Can he contribute in a way that helps a team win games? Can he show clear growth when the pressure is on? Because if the answer is yes, then this whole conversation changes. But if the answer is no, then the noise only gets louder from here, and not just from fans, from everywhere. Now for the Lakers as a whole, the path forward is not complicated, but it is uncomfortable. It requires accountability across the board. Coaching decisions have to tighten up, player roles have to be earned, and situations like this cannot keep repeating without explanation. Because every time it happens, it chips away at trust. Trust from fans, trust inside the locker room, and trust in the direction of the team. And once that starts slipping, it is very hard to get back. That is why this moment matters more than people think. It is not just about one game. It is about what that game represents going forward. So now, it is on the Lakers to respond. Not with words, not with post-game quotes, but with actions on the court, because that is the only thing people are going to believe at this point. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think about Bronny's performance? What do you think about the rotations? And what would you change if you were in that position? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this conversation is not slowing down anytime soon. And if you made it this far, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs to see it. More breakdowns, more real conversations, and more moments like this are coming. Stay locked in, and I will catch you on the next one.